So I'm presenting Everglades National Park today, but I'm using Calleigh Black's National Park Spotlight. And so Everglades National Park has a very different landscape than the parks that are out west. And let's look at where this one's located. Everglades was right there in southern Florida. Okay, so definitely not like the mountainous area that we're used to. And here's what our landscapes look like. Okay, sometimes people refer to the Everglades as rivers of grass, and you can see there are trees, but grasses tend to dominate. Like here. Oh, look, little alligator. Okay, and so Calleigh put a video in for us here to get an idea about the Everglades.
Everglades National Park covers nearly 1.5 million acres, the largest subtropical wilderness in the United States. It is the anchor to South Florida's ecosystem and encompasses an incredibly rich mixture of plant and wildlife habitats. Early morning fog shrouds the Everglades. From a peaceful nighttime silence to the wild chatter of the glades, another day commences in the circle of life. If life hangs by a thread in the Everglades, that thread is clean, fresh water. Once there was a free-flowing river across southern Florida, 50 miles wide and 1 foot deep. Today, all the water flowing into the Everglades is controlled by a man-made system of canals and levees. Restoring this river to mimic its natural seasonal cycles has been the focus of the massive effort to restore this biological wonderland. The residents of the Everglades are as peculiar as they are varied. The sky is filled with birds of every color. If the birds rule the sky, the American crocodile and the American alligator rule the water. Alligators have extraordinarily large mouths with jaw muscles designed to kill and eat with a single bite. And if it moves, alligators eat it. Freshwater turtles, both red-bellied slider and softshell, are a staple food. But even gators are born into this world as vulnerable as any other newborn resident. Everglades National Park is a wonderfully unique place with a diversity of life unlike anywhere else. And thanks to the restoration efforts of so many, future generations will have a chance to enjoy its treasures. Treasures that are truly priceless.
Okay, so that gave you a good idea of what it would be like to be there. Now let's get into the landscape explanation. So Calleigh says the Everglades National Park is mostly made up of limestone bedrock. So the limestone was formed when small marine invertebrates, so marine means ocean creatures, were exposed to the sun. The bedrock formed during the Tertiary and Cretaceous periods. Sedimentary and carbonate rocks were laid down in a 3-mile-long layer. The force that erodes the Everglades now is Lake Okeechobee, which runs through the Everglades into the ocean. Sometimes we call this area a river of grass. So let me show you here. This is Lake Okeechobee, like Calleigh says, and here's the Everglades, and it drains through the Everglades into the ocean. And so that's really where the water is coming from this freshwater source. So river erosion is going to be our dominant force. And when we hear that the limestone rock is what makes this up, it tells us that this was once underwater, which is not a far fetch, right? Like to think about. Now, this picture, her connection to class, is not taken from this park. It's just a good example of it. But she says that the principle of superposition is alive and well there because the sedimentary and carbonate rocks were layered youngest above oldest. And you can also see the principle of horizontality because they have these flat layers. Okay, so now here are specific attractions. And I was at this park, it's been a long time now, 2014, but I did this Shark Valley. So what you do here is you get on a tram, which is like an open air bus kind of, and it's a 15-mile round trip, and halfway is this observation tower. And so you walk up this, and I look down into this area, and I'm not exaggerating to say there were 50 to 100 alligators, and I was there in late March. So it was still, it wasn't dried out at all at that point. So you can observe this ecosystem from that tower. But I would say my favorite attraction was this one. This is called the Anhinga Trail. And before I visited this park, I did not know what an anhinga is. This is what an anhinga was. This is an anhinga. Sometimes they're called Batman birds because you see them with their wings out, drying their wings. And this trail allows you to get a close look at wildlife and especially the birds. It's only 0.8 miles and it's on a boardwalk. And so, like, here's the deal. You kind of feel like you're at a zoo looking at this wildlife. Hang on just a sec. Excuse me. And then you realize you are not at a zoo, that these creatures are not encased in anything. Like, you're just right there with them, as you can see in this picture. And so I asked in the visitor center there, how many people have died on this trail from attacks? And she said, none, that these alligators have plenty of food. This is a really, really rich ecosystem and that they're not going to go after humans. But the bird life was really outstanding there too. Okay, so we have Shark Valley, that observation tower, the Anhinga Trail, and then this one is another interesting trail, the Mahogany Hammock Trail. It's only half a mile round trip, but it leads you through this jungle-like area, and they have a special tree there called a gumbo limbo tree, mahogany trees, and also air plants like this one that they actually live off of other plants. So one interesting thing about this park I learned when I was there, let me show it to you in this picture. You see how you've got grasses, and then you'll get this grove of trees. That's usually only a few foot change in sea level. So can you tell that's a little higher elevation that allows there to be enough soils to support trees? So that's where you see these pockets of trees and forest, is where it's a little higher elevation. Okay, so plant life in Calleigh's Park. Let me make sure I did. Yeah, here we go. So she picked the cypress trees, and they grow in areas covered by water. Sometimes they'll grow into cypress domes, which are large circular patches, and they can live up to 600 years, which I did not know. If you've ever been to Dawes, they actually have a cypress swamp there, and you've maybe seen that. Also, the triangle cactus, it can grow 23 feet tall, and when in bloom, it has large white flowers that open from midnight to dawn. And then finally, I'm not sure how to say this one, muhly grass, but lots of different grass species there. It grows in clumps and it can be 3 to 4 foot tall, and it produces these puffy purple flowers, and that's how you can tell it from other grasses that are in the park. Now, animal life, Calleigh had a lot to pick from. She's chosen the American alligator. They live in freshwater swamps and marshes, but they can also be in rivers, lakes, and other small bodies of water. Adult males can be 13 to 15 feet in length and females up to 10. Their color varies, but they can be olive in color, brown, black, or gray. And you will definitely see alligators if you visit this park. Here's the Everglades mink. They're semi-aquatic, which means they spend part of their life in the water. They're related to weasels, otters, and ferrets. They typically live in hollow logs or stumps or under tree roots, and they're listed as a threatened species. Now, that means that they're a little better off than endangered, but still need protection. And then finally, Calleigh has the walking catfish, and it is an invasive species in Florida. Like its name, it can walk across land to bodies of water. They do this by wiggling or flopping across land, usually during a rainy day. They have a special gill structure that allows them to breathe in the air that's not dissolved in water. And I told Calleigh, go ahead and put in that video. So she had a walking catfish for us to see. Oops, sorry. That's pretty crazy. Who knew? Okay, and then finally, Calleigh has just two more things. So this is her current event. On January 22nd of this year, a plane crashed near Cape Sable, and nearby campers at a campsite rescued the 4 passengers and brought them to shore. Jeez. Okay, and this is Callie's personal reflection. The most interesting thing she learned was that the Everglades is mostly fresh water, even though it's so close to an ocean. And if she went to the Everglades, she would like to walk the Mahogany Hammock Trail because the oldest living mahogany tree in the US is there. Okay, so what you want to do now is pause me if you need to open up your presentation chart. Okay, and let's go to Callie's name. There's how you spell it, Calleigh, and her park Everglades in the state of Florida. And what did we say based on this map was her dominant force, right? River erosion, when you have that lake water draining and running through rivers down to the ocean. Now, you're going to rank it according to how much you would like to go there, but these are some attractions that you might put. Shark Valley, the Anhinga Trail, which was my personal favorite. And then this is the one Calleigh wants to go to, the Mahogany Hammock Trail. Make sure that you're putting in not just a picture, but also label the picture so at the end of the year you remember what it was that you liked. All right.